Why do you think that it's harder for people to see Paul in Jewish terms?
Okay. Let's go through some texts.
Sure, please.
Not just one or two, but let's see if we can give a world into the mind of Paul that might echo accurately or not.
Yeah.
But let's hear what some of Paul's words are, just like we heard some words about Jews.
Yeah.
Let's hear what Paul says maybe about Judaism, core elements
Jewish
within
stuff,
Judaism.
circumcision, Torah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
So let's see. Again, maybe Paul is right. But when you start linking together these verses, and I'm going to give you a few more, the very commandment that promised life. Well, yeah. Eitz Chaim Hi. Lamacha Zikim Ba. It's a tree of life to those who hold fast to it.
Right.
The very commandment that promised life proved to be death for me. For sin, seizing an opportunity through the commandment, deceived me and through it killed me.
So that's the end of Romans 7.
No, it's about halfway through, but that's that section. It's a terrible section.
Yeah.
And it gets worse. If we go to 1 Corinthians 9, let me give you 3 more verses. 1 Corinthians 9, I won't even comment that much. To the Jews I became a Jew in order to win Jews. I guess I said I wasn't going to comment. Here's my non-comment. I don't believe Paul is deceptive. I think that's not what it's saying.
Some do.
I know they do. I just wanted that up front.
But you think he's a straightforward guy.
I don't think wherever we disagree, Paul is an honest seeker.
Straight shooter.
Paul, I would invite regularly for my Shabbos. I would.
Yeah.
I don't invite dishonest people. Paul is an honest seeker. He has a new vision. He has re-envisioned Torah.
Yeah.
He had re-envisioned Judaism in a way that has some very, very, I should say this up front. I am a deep, deep admirer of Paul. I want this known. I didn't say that in the beginning.
Yeah, I know.
I have my struggles, but I am a deep admirer of Paul. Okay? He has some brilliance to him.
But and you see him as loving his people.
Yes.
He's not
and
a
loving
self-hating
Torah
Jew.
and loving Judaism, but he has a very different paradigm.
Yes.
So to the Jews I became a Jew in order to win Jews. To those under the law, this is the problem for me. To those under the law, this isn't my problem. I became as one under the law. Here's the problem. This is huge. To those under the law, I became as one under the law, though not being myself under the law. That is not a statement to Gentiles. That is a self-identifying statement. And in the Greek, it is emphatic. In the Greek, it is emphatic. Me on autos hupa naman. It's emphatic in the Greek. He says he's not under the law. People try and say he's not under the Pharisaic stringencies, hogwash. Maybe not hogwash. This is a Jewish program.
Yeah.
I don't buy it. I should be.
You're not persuaded.
I'm not persuaded, especially in light of 50 other sentences.
Yeah.
Let's go to this one. I got to give you 2 more.
All right.
2 more.
All right. Give me 2 more.
2 more.
Because
you're making 2 more. Again, law, commandment, circumcision, Torah. You ready?
I'm ready.
1 Corinthians 15.
Yeah.
Near the end. The sting of death is sin. Absolutely. Yeah. He should have stopped there. The sting of death is sin. The power of sin
is death.
No.
The law.
Is the law.
Yeah.
He has married 2 terms that are not ever found together like that in Judaism. He has others. And the power of sin is the law. The law was there as the counter.
Yeah.
As the barrier. As the way of living a holy life. Not sin. The power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God who gave us victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Law and sin don't go together like that in Judaism. Jesus, whatever there may have been in terms of differences between Jesus and the Pharisees or Jesus and modern rabbinic Judaism, it's not that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that language.
Mm-hmm.
That's troubling language. However we interpret it, it's still, even if there is a way out
Mm-hmm.
that I don't see, it's the language we have to admit is troubling. I've spoken to people who don't even see it's troubling. And I'm thinking, then you're just not reading it. It is troubling. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been kicked out of the synagogues.
Right.
He wasn't kicked out for saying things that were harmonious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in line with. There were struggles, obviously. And maybe he's right, and maybe I'm misunderstanding. Fine. I accept that. I try to understand. I read the Paul within Judaism community.
Yeah.
I really do. And I don't see their answers or their resolutions often as very satisfying. Often, to be honest, they don't address the most challenging verses.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you.
No, I know.
I looked through several of them, and
there've been
10
plenty of
books or 11
criticisms.
books, they didn't even touch on it. And one, in fact, touched on the verse for 12 pages, but not on the problematic part of the verse itself.
Mm-hmm.
The other, I think, way out, which is, well, he's only speaking to Gentiles. That's a common response.
We talked about that earlier. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's talking to Gentiles because he includes himself. And if we can go through other verses next time when we do maybe a whole talk on Paul.
Yeah.
It's not a satisfying response. That's an easy way out. And then I think there's a cheap criticism, which I've heard. It's happened to me, and I've heard it at conferences. You're reading it through the lens of the Protestant Reformation. Well, no, I'm not, and neither are they. This is a very fair way. It might be wrong, but it seems like it's an honest way of reading the text. And to use Jewish language, it seems like it's the pshat. Mm-hmm. When you get 50 of these, maybe it really is saying what it's saying. So I do struggle with Paul being... Now, I never would question, this is important. I don't think Paul ever considered himself as leaving Judaism. I don't think he thinks his statements here are without. I think he sees this as the fulfillment and the realization of Judaism. His identity in his being, his kishkas, maybe he didn't use that word, I don't know, but
yeah, good one.
His kishkas, he was a yid.
Insides, yeah.
He was a yid. His guts, his bowels, his innards. He was a Jew to the core. But his encounter on the Damascus Road really did give him a new vision, and maybe even a true vision, the correct vision that we're not able to see, some of us in the Jewish world. So he is a Jew. I would never deny his Judaism or his identity or his heart for the Jewish people. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so well said. And I mean, I think you've just answered the question that I asked earlier with, I mean, obviously you have thought and studied and wrestled with these texts. And I think that you've presented so many of the texts and the hot button texts that have made, a lot of Jewish people and Jewish commentators very reluctant about Paul. And those same texts, Christians have looked at those and not really seen a character that continued to be a practitioner or advocate of Judaism. He was starting something different. And so I think that is, for understandable reasons, as there's so many other things I want to talk about today, but just to, my take on it, obviously I have a different take and we just don't have the time.
Sure.
But I would love to have another, offline and online conversation. Obviously, this is going to be an ongoing discussion that we have. And even this morning, we were at a coffee shop and I said, "Oh, Joe, is there a camera here somewhere that's recording what we're saying?"
That's because he wanted to get me sprawled out on the couch.
You were, because you had just gotten off the plane. And anyway, but no, I do, again, certainly now's not the time to go through each of these texts and me to say, well, Joe, here's where I think, where I disagree. But I do think that those texts certainly can be understood, in a very, let's just say, Jewish negative way, but I think they also can be understood in an alternative way that has Paul being very specific statements. Because just to take, for example, the topic of circumcision.
Okay.
Sure, we've got a number of statements in Romans, in Galatians, in Philippians, where Paul is saying things that sound very negative. My take on his negative statements towards circumcision is that he was against circumcision for Gentiles who have embraced Christ as a means for them to enter God's family. In other words, Gentiles don't have to become Jews in order to enter God's family. So I think that's why, like, he can turn right around. You were in Romans 2, you were reading those verses from Romans 2. And then, we turn to the beginning of Romans 3, and then Paul turns right around and says, what's the value of circumcision? Much in every way. So it's like, okay, how do we put that affirmative statement, or in Romans 7, he turns right around and says, so then the law is holy. And then he says it's spiritual.
Yeah,
and so it's
okay. No, I didn't know. It's so funny. I'm loving the holy potential here for a dialogue.
Yeah.